Hey, y'all. Welcome to the podcast. Okay, so today we are going to have a conversation about something that I believe is essential for growth, and that is renegotiating relationships. Now, when we hear the word relationship, we usually think about people, right? But the truth is, we have relationships with everything on our lives the people, places, things, habits, all the things. Those are relationships. And as we evolve, as we grow in our confidence, as we become more aware and more intentional, those relationships have to evolve too, because what was once relevant and useful in our lives may no longer fit as we are growing. And sometimes what used to feel safe or supportive starts to feel draining or misaligned. This conversation was inspired by a shift that I made recently. And I mentioned it in a previous episode that I deleted the main social media apps from my primary phone and moved them to a backup phone. I renegotiated my relationship with social media. And I did this for two reasons. First, I realized I was doing a lot of mindless scrolling, and I could have been using that time to do something else, even if that something else was nothing. And second was for data security because these apps are tracking everything. And I just realized I needed to interrupt that connection between the apps having access to the device where I keep my banking information. And this little shift, it has made a difference. It's given me more space in my mind. It's given me more control over my time. And I feel more secure. And so it made me think, what other relationships in my life need to be renegotiated? And so today I want to talk about why renegotiating relationships is important for us to do, how to recognize when it is time to make a change, and how to do it. Because we all are out here just trying to nurture our confidence and protect our peace. So let's get into it. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Confident Women Glow. I'm Mo James, and this is the podcast where we dive into self discovery, self trust, and self expression to help you create a life that's true to who you really are. I believe that confidence isn't just a mindset, it's a practice. It's about showing up boldly even when life feels messy and owning your journey every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into this episode. Can we take a moment to talk about reflection and growth? I know this journey of self discovery, self trust, and self expression isn't always easy, but having the right tools makes all the difference. And that's why I created the Inner Strength Journal. This isn't just another journal, it's a space for you to connect with your thoughts, honor your emotions, and design your masterpiece life one page at a time. Each prompt in this journal is carefully crafted to help you dig deeper into what matters most to you, to build your confidence, and to take aligned action. So, if you're ready to carve out intentional time for yourself and start designing a life that feels true to who you are, grab your copy of the Inner Strength Journal today. Head over to innerstrengthjournal.com to order yours now. Your journey deserves this space. Here's the thing, we evolve. And as we evolve, the way we relate to the world has to evolve too. What used to work for us 5 years ago or 5 months ago might not work for us now. And that's not a bad thing. It's a sign that we are growing. But it gets tricky because sometimes we hold on to relationships that aren't aligned, and we know they're not aligned, but we hold on simply because they are familiar, even when they're draining us, even when they're holding us back. And we do that because change is uncomfortable. It is. I have told a story somewhere. I know I've told it on social media about how I had a boyfriend one time who tried to break up with me. And I say tried because when he said, I want to break up, I said no. And whoo, child. Anyway, and I believe at the time he saw in me what I wasn't able to see in myself. He saw that I was settling. Now, eventually we did break up, but I can say now, I can tell the truth now about the fact that I resisted the breaking up when he wanted to do it because I believed that I needed that relationship. Like I wouldn't be okay without that relationship. But confidence is built, is reinforced, is affirmed when you start honoring your needs. And those needs come from a place of self trust and courage, even when it means changing the terms of a relationship. So, this might mean you are spending less time with certain people, you are setting new boundaries, or you are reshaping your habits around things like social media, food, or even spending. And renegotiating a relationship doesn't necessarily mean you are walking away. Sometimes it means you are adjusting the terms, the terms and conditions, so that it aligns with who you are now and where you're going. And that's not selfish, that's actually self respect. So, how do you know? How do you know when it's time, when it's necessary to renegotiate a relationship? Pay attention to how it makes you feel. You're going to have to ask yourself some questions. Does this relationship support my growth or is it holding me back? Does this relationship help me to feel seen, respected, and valued? Or do I feel overlooked and undervalued? Do I feel marginalized? Do I feel invisible? Am I engaging in this relationship out of habit, out of obligation, or because I'm afraid of losing it? Does this relationship align with the future that I'm building? Or is it chaining me to the past? For me, the whole social media thing, it had turned into a habit that was draining my energy. And I recognized that it was taking up space in my life that I needed. I needed it for more meaningful things, more important things. And so renegotiating that relationship gave me control again. I was able to take back, claim control over my time and my attention. Now, here's the thing: the process of renegotiating relationships is not easy, especially when it involves people. But when you ignore what you need simply to protect somebody else's comfort, you're setting yourself up to be resentful and angry. And you are actually diluting, degrading, reducing your confidence, because confidence comes from honoring what you need, even when it is hard. So, how do you do this? Like we've already established how to recognize when it's time. And if you recognize listening to me that it's time, what do you do? What are the steps? How do you do it, whether it's a person, place, or a thing? First, you need to get clear on what it is that you need. Because before you can go into a negotiation or a renegotiation, you need to be clear on what isn't working and what you need. Like, what's draining your energy? What is out of alignment with your values? And it always helps to write these things down because having clarity is power. You might also need to think about what has changed. Because sometimes relationships can shift because the other person, place, or thing has changed. And other times, relationships can shift because you changed. Either way, you can acknowledge that change has happened, that something has changed in a relationship without calling it a good thing or a bad thing. It just happened. Because the truth is, if we're being honest, growth requires change. And when it comes to renegotiating a relationship with a person or people, you need to communicate clearly. You need to be honest about what changed and what you need moving forward. Now, I'm going to preface that with this. I'm not telling you you need to explain or you need to apologize for the renegotiation, for the desire to renegotiate. But I do believe it's just respectful, it's just honest to just let people know if the relationship is going to continue in that same way. That's just that's just the confident thing to do. Don't be having people out here willy-nilly with blurred lines in relationships. Clean that up. And then you're probably going to need to set some new boundaries. And you are going to disappoint people when you do. And those people's disappointment is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect yourself, to advocate for yourself. So whether you are spending less time with a person or stepping away from something that just doesn't work for you anymore, I want you to do it without guilt. Don't let other people's dis-ease or discomfort or dislike of what you're doing cause you to guilt yourself. Release that. Let that go. You setting those new boundaries is an act of self-trust and courage. And sometimes renegotiating means ending a relationship entirely. And that is going to be painful. Even if you choose it, it's still going to hurt. It may also be necessary. You will have to remind yourself that when you hold on to something that doesn't fit longer, you make it harder to move toward the things that do fit. Renegotiating relationships applies to every aspect of our lives. And whether it's friendships or family or work or social media or money or whatever it is, you have the right to choose relationships that support you. And sometimes that means changing the terms of the relationship or ending the relationship altogether. Here's the thing, confidence is not just about what you believe about yourself, it's actually about what you do, it's the choices you make. Every time you renegotiate a relationship that doesn't align with who you are now or where you're going, you are reinforcing your self trust. You are telling yourself, my growth matters, I matter, my peace matters. So I want to challenge you to take a look at the relationships in your life and ask yourself if they're supporting your growth or if they're holding you back, holding you in a place of familiarity to your detriment. And think about if you need to set a boundary, if you need to change how you engage, or if you need to walk away. The whole point of it is choosing yourself. And if you need space to reflect on what's working and what isn't, I want you to remember the Inner Strength Journal is here to help you get clear, to help you reconnect with yourself, and to help you move forward with confidence. And you know, I am such an advocate of journaling because journaling allows us to keep our own receipts. Because, okay, life is out here dragging us. It is dragging us. And when we are in our day to day and we are navigating all kinds of mess and foolishness and chaos, we forget what we've already come through. For me, that is why I journal. Because when I forget, I can pull that book out and flip through that thing and be like, now hold on. I did this. I said this. I promised this to myself. I'm not going through this bullshit again. That for me is why journaling is so important. So renegotiate your relationships. I say all of that to tell you, as you are going through these processes of renegotiating, honor the experience, honor your own transition by writing it down so you don't forget. So you will be able to remind yourself of all that you have come through, of who you were before and who you desire to be going forward. Your masterpiece life is waiting, and you might have to renegotiate some relationships to get there. Okay. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this episode. I hope you are feeling inspired and ready to take the next step toward your masterpiece life. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you left a rating or review in your podcast player. It helps more women like you find the show. And if you're ready for deeper conversations and support, come join us in the Glow Circle membership community. Your first 7 days are free, and we would love to have you. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, keep glowing. Later.